welcome to the Big Bad Bike Show. This week, so the French GP, and it was the 1000th race in MotoGP, and it didn't disappoint. And I can almost hear laughter on the other side from Ash Hall as he tries not to laugh at me saying 1000th. I just can't get my tongue around that at all. I've tried to say it 3 or 4 times. We've had to try the intro a couple of times. Can't do it. I just can't say that word, so we're just going to have to battle on with what we got. I'm your host, Sam McCauley. I'm back from my small hiatus, and as already mentioned, I am joined with the up north biker, Ash Hall.
Hey up.
And this week, it is Chippy's turn not to be here. Only unlike me, Chippy sends his apologies, by the way, and I should apologise, because unlike myself, I had genuine work commitments. He is, at this moment, sitting at home. He's literally just sent us a message.
Yeah, he's not actually. He could have been doing it tonight.
He just has to start work early in the morning, and by early we mean 1 hour earlier than what he normally starts work.
Well, no, it's earlier than that because he has to have his hour shower, doesn't he?
I just can't go over it. I can't go over that man's morning routine as to what he has to do to get up so early in the morning.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Do you know I was watching Jack Whitehall Travels with His Father. Have you ever watched that?
I'm aware of it, yes.
Yeah, he is. He's bloody, what is it? He's Jack Whitehall's dad.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Jack Whitehall, but yeah, he is Jack Whitehall's dad. He is. He's Jack Whitehall's dad. That's exactly what he is.
He's just like him.
He even looks a little bit like him. He's slowly turning into him. Right, so let's get through the husbandry of the podcast. For anybody that's listening on YouTube, thanks very much for tuning in again. Please hit the like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and that way you won't miss an episode. We've got coming up on the show the all-new Who Am I? It's Chippy's Who Am I, although he's not here. And we will be catching up in the MotoGP at Le Mans. Like we said, it's the 1000th. Get my tongue around that. It's the 1000th race. So we were expecting a good one, and like we say, it did not disappoint. And we will be looking and talking a little bit about the Northwest 200. Neither of us were there, were we?
No,
a little bit sad.
And I didn't watch any of it. So
I watched a little bit of it. I always get a little bit emotional watching the Northwest 200 because it just reminds me so much about home, and it just tells me that you've not been there for so long. And I tell myself the same. I'm going to be there next year. Work always gets in the way, but yeah, I have sorted my plane tickets and my accommodation, and I'm heading for Armoy in July. So. Looking forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you're off back home then?
Yeah, taking a weekend away. It's me and our friend of the show who has emailed in previously, Jace Thompson. Me and him will be going over. Okay. We'll be getting wreckety-wrecked.
Yep.
And yeah, so
Are you going to specifically watch the bikes?
Oh yeah, that's what we're going for. Flying over, watching the bikes.
Oh, all right.
So I'm going to Donington with him. They've got an extra space in their camper van. So I thought to return the favour, I should take them over to Northern Ireland and let them see a bit of road racing and get absolutely munted if I were there, of course. So
you're going to be sleeping... Hold on, you're going to be sleeping in a camper van with who? Just Jace?
Jason, his old man.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you were going to say Jason's
wife. We're
not
taking the camper van to Northern Ireland. We're taking the camper van. We're going to watch the World Superbikes at Donington. We're taking the camper van. They've got an extra space, so I'm jumping in. When I say extra space, you've got an extra space to drive down there and ticket and stuff, so I've got to take my own tent. But God knows who's going to sleep where, because we're probably just going to get wrecked. And then, yeah, so to return the favour, we're going to go back over to Armoy, watch some road racing.
Oh, very good.
See how it's really done.
I'm jealous. Say again?
I'll see how it's really done. I'll take you over next year, mate.
Yeah, I'd love to go to it. Well, I've never been to Ireland, so...
You have to come to Thruxton as well. I'll be living near Thruxton.
Thruxton?
Yeah. Whenever I move down south, I'll be living near Thruxton and come stay at my house. Because Thruxton's on in August.
Oh, right.
It is on my wife's birthday, and I've invited half the world to my house to watch Thruxton. The amount
It's
of
your
people,
birthday, darling.
the
Look at all these people that have turned up
the amount
just
of
for
people that's just
you.
going to descend in my house so they can go to the World or the British Superbikes. But I think the weekend before that is the British round of the MotoGP. So I said to my wife, it's either Thruxton or it's the MotoGP. It has to be one or the other. It depends when you want your birthday.
Yeah.
I want it both, to be honest. But a little bit of give and a little bit of take. Yeah, so unfortunately, Chippy can't be here with us.
No, he can't.
He does say hello.
He's put a little bit of spiel on here, hasn't he?
He's put a little bit of spiel on here. I've not even read this, but I better read it out. So Chippy says hello. He doesn't want this to be an anti-Marquez episode, especially after the strong weekend he had in the Honda. Just in case anyone is worried, his little Robin has come back and his plants are growing well. I have to. So Chippy and Ash, as you know, are going to Knock Hill, and Chippy has managed to acquire some free tickets through a friend of a friend who works for one of the teams or something.
Yeah, it's his sister's fellow. He owns Hawk Racing.
All right, his sister's fellow owns Hawk Racing, so he's got a little bit of leeway to get in here.
Big Steve dog.
And apparently, Ash has been asking for paddock scooters because he can't be bothered to walk around Knock Hill.
I just thought it'd be cool to have a scooter, just blast about on it.
It would be cool. Like, I went to Silverstone and the amount of people who were just bombing about in little bikes.
Yeah.
It made me feel very insignificant because I read the whole way to Silverstone in a 125. You see like 10-year-olds riding about and the BSB riding around the paddock and you're like, oh. I'm a big boy.
So yeah, I was asking about a paddock scooter or a paddock ped or something like that, but oh well.
What have you been up to this week, Ash?
Not a lot really. I've been working. I did the review on the Africa Twin. I got that sorted.
Very good too.
Got that up on YouTube, which I was quite impressed with actually. I thought I did quite a good job.
I thought you did an excellent job, mate. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Really professional. Bit too professional. You sounded like
that. I need to sort of just relax a little bit more, but I just didn't want it to be.
You sounded a little bit like that hairy dude that does the motorcycle show.
What the?
What's
I
that?
know who you mean.
It's called the motorcycle show, isn't it?
Yeah, it is because my dad was on it.
Was he?
Yeah, he was when he went to Cadwell Park, I believe it was. He went to do the MZ250 experience, which is where you can jump on an MZ250 race bike and you can race with whoever's racing that meet.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was well in with the MZ250 club at the time, and he's actually on the on the show, so it was quite funny to see him in the background in his leathers with his hair all over the place.
It's the man called Henry Cole.
That's him, yeah.
Henry Cole. He's like, I rode this motorbike and it was very nice.
Yeah, it was.
I carry Werther's originals in my back pockets.
All right, we're not Chippy.
No, you could tell you were being very, very polite. I was expecting the Yorkshire to come out. Hey-oh.
Yeah, well, I thought, do you know what? I better not. I better just try and be as professional as possible. But I'm going to try and do one on my Blackbird. And because I know quite a lot about that, I won't really need a script, so I might just do that one off the cuff.
Yeah, well, we learned.
And hopefully it'll sound.
We learned from the intro of this podcast. Probably noticed it's better to have a script. We didn't have a script, so sometimes it's better to have a script, or you just end up bambling along. If you did enjoy the Up North Bikers, if you did enjoy his review of the Honda Africa Twin 1200L, please get in touch and let us know, because believe it or not, the big man put a lot of effort into it and a lot of work, and we're really appreciative of that here in the Big Bad Bike Show. Goes a long way, and we're hoping that we can continue on with more than that. I myself am going to, hopefully after the summer and I can get my finger out and get my license proper, I'm going to try and hook up a few connections with a few bike people I've been speaking to try and do a few reviews myself. And if you're in the market for a new bike and you want us to try and review something, speak to us and we'll see what we can do. We'll try our best.
Yeah, definitely.
We're making promises we can't keep.
Just to make a correction on what you said, it's an 1100L, not a 1200L.
I thought it was a 1200. Yeah, I get
No.
that. Because we've got so many listeners that they'll be tweeting us saying how wrong we are. That's how many listeners we have.
Hey, there will be after the TT. I'm telling you.
You think
once we've got them, the Big Bad Bike Show stickers on Michael Russell's sidecar, people will be flooding him.
Oh yeah, so we said, well, not we, because I wasn't on the show last week, but last week or the week before that, I think it was last week, it was mentioned that Michael Russell will be on the show. We've talked to Michael, and he does want to come on the show, but we realised that next week there's actually no racing on. There's no MotoGP, there's no British Superbikes, there's not really anything to talk about, so we thought it would be better for next week to speak to Michael, or as we know him, Jack, because that way we can give him our full attention rather than having to talk about something else. So
definitely,
next week will be a good week for Michael to come on. We can just give him the floor. We've talked to him before. He is really good to listen to, and he's got loads to talk about. And he's got the TT coming up, so
he has. Yeah, I mean, he's getting prepared for that, so he's stupidly busy. So to be able to come onto the podcast and give us his time is awesome. We really appreciate that he will do that for us. It's funny because I said to me kids tonight about the TT, and they were like, "Well, what is it?" I was like, "Well," and I thought to myself, I've never actually explained to him what a TT is, and I showed him some videos, and their gobs were just on the floor. Like it was a ride along with Peter Hickman. He had the GoPro on his helmet, and he was just flying through the streets at like 150 mile per hour plus, giving it big licks. And I'm just thinking, Jesus Christ.
I can't wait. Like, we got a taster this weekend with the Northwest 200. And the TT, just another level on top of that.
Well, Michael Dunlop was with Hawk Racing on the Northwest 200. Because I spoke to Chippy and then about his sister about getting him on the pod, and she was like, "Oh well, we'll have to see," but I'm like, "Nah, it's not gonna happen."
Well, we'll see. If he wants to come on the pod, get on the pod. Right, we'll move on. We'll do the who am I. So whose goal was it last week? You had it last week.
It was mine. It was my go.
Right,
and I thought, do you know what?
It was really hard.
I'll make it a little bit easier because the one I did last time was a bit too vague.
Yeah, you want vague. Chippy's this week is really vague. But anyway, go on ahead.
I'll go into it then. Its first GP was in 1983 in South Africa. Has raced in the Isle of Man TT. And owned a race school at Donington Racetrack. Now, with that last clue, if you didn't get this without Googling it, then, well, I don't know what to say to you. But the answer was Ron Haslam.
And as always, Big Dazza has emailed in to give us his answer. He's usually, well, I say usually, up until now, I believe that any time he's had to Google it, he's always told us he's had to Google it. He has not mentioned having to Google this one.
No, nobody needed to Google this one.
Ron Haslam, he knows who it was. Right.
Yeah. There wasn't an email from anyone else, was there?
No.
My brother said he was going to email.
Oh, well, let me check. There was the week before that. There was some other dude, I think it was Ronnie B or something, emailed in.
Ronnie B, yeah, that was.
I'll have a look.
No, I said to him, put a pseudonym that you want, and he was like, it's going to have to be but he didn't even email in.
No.
So, all right. So this week's Who Am I? Well done, Big Dazza, by the way, for guessing that. Well,
thank you for your constant support.
Yes. No, he's.
We'll have to send him.
He definitely needs.
We'll have to send him
a Big Bad Bike Show mug for Christmas, I think.
Yeah, I'll take him one over when I go to the Armoy Road Race.
Yeah, good idea actually. Yeah. Do you want to read out Chippy's Who Am I then, seeing as though he's not here?
Okay, let's read out Chippy's. Now, Chippy is trying to keep this vague, but there's keeping it vague, and then there's it just not being very good at all. Because you have to remember, Chippy, because I know you'll be listening, you have to remember that we do want this to be fun as well. Like, it's supposed to be fun. If you make it too vague, it's not fun anymore. But anyway, Chippy. This is Chippy's clue. He basically said, I used to ride motorbikes. That's his clue. And that's basically it. Right, so his clue is...
Pretty much, yeah. That's all it basically says.
I was born in Italy in 1961, so that narrows it down a bit. He's Italian, he was born in 1961, so he's about, 61 years of age now? Maybe? Well, not maybe. Maths is maths. He's like 61, 62. Right. I won the 125 World Championship twice. That narrows it down a little bit.
Anybody...
And I won 2 world championships as a team manager.
Well, I'm sort of steering towards Ducati then. Because if he's Italian, 2 world championships. Obviously, Bagnaia won last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's I don't know. Is Bagnaia Italian? I can't remember. He is, isn't he?
Yeah, Bagnaia is Italian. Yeah.
So maybe it's the
I've got
manager.
A couple of names running through my head. You know when you got names running through your head, but you can't stop them. You just can't get them to stand still. Got a couple of names running through my head. I don't want to say anything on the pod because I don't want to give it away. No. But I don't think they're as vague as I first thought. There's not many people has won a 125 championship and then went on to be a team manager and won the world championship. 2 world championships. He just says I won 2 world championships as a team manager. He doesn't say what world championships. It could be World Superbikes, could be MotoGP, could be
Formula One for all we know.
I doubt it's Formula One, but yeah, it could be. Could be Tiddlywinks who went on and won 2 world championships as a team manager at Tiddlywinks.
So Chippy, can I just say, you said mine was vague. That is utter shite, mate.
That is pretty vague. Anyway, if you think you know the answer, and if you have to Google it, that's alright, just let us know if you Googled it or not, but play along. If you think you know the answer, you can email us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. Get in touch, let us know who you think it is, even if you thought it was somebody straight away and then you Googled it and realised who it was. Just tell us who you thought it was and who now you know who it really is. I've got a couple of ideas, but I think to be absolutely certain on that one, I'm probably going to have to give it a little Google myself, but we'll see.
Yeah,
something
definitely going to have to Google that.
Something might pop into my head in the next couple of days.
Who knows?
Now we do have a dilemma. This is the dilemma.
What's that?
Who the fuck reads the news? Chippy's not here.
Well, it's up to you. If you can read it or I can read it.
Would you like to read it?
Well, you know what I'm like with words, man.
I've not.
Let me just read. Look, there's a lot of like odd names in there.
Right, I'll read it out. Okay. The thing is, Chippy and myself, we spend the whole week just absolutely slating Ash for his bad English.
My grammar is utter shite.
That is really
it
bad.
Is.
And then we're like, Ash, would you like to have a go at reading this? And he's like, fuck off. No.
Well, yeah, because I'll read it, and then you two will do a full-on like essay fucking review on how I read it.
You can't read,
and how I didn't say certain things, or didn't pause in the right places where the commas were.
Right.
I'm just a simple Yorkshire man
who likes Yorkshire tea.
That's it.
And baked pancakes.
Yorkshire puddings with jacket potatoes.
Right, so here goes. We could do a whole podcast just on that. Right, yeah, so here goes. Here's the news. FHO Racing withdrew from the Northwest 200 after a technical infringement. Northwest 200 regulations state that superstock bikes must have the original homologated wheels from the manufacturer. However, the BMW M1000RR standard wheels are made from carbon. The technical regulations state that carbon fibre wheels are not permitted under the MCUI road race event. The team we're stuck as a result because if they removed the carbon wheels, that is also against the regulations, and there's no aftermarket wheels were permitted. I watched the Northwest on the BBC iPlayer because, like I said, couldn't go back home to watch it because I didn't get back from my job that was away for it until like Friday evening. And so I had to watch it on BBC iPlayer. I read about this was it Thursday? I read about it. And I watched it on the iPlayer and tried to make head or tails of it. So,
well, it's just it's ridiculous.
That's a bit ridiculous. The only up until yesterday, I was completely on the FHO side. I was completely on their side because what are they supposed to do? They've got a set of tyres that the bike was sold with, bought with, inverted commas, homologated with. That word, I never heard that word until 6 months ago.
Well, was it the tyres or was it the wheels?
Oh, the wheels, yeah, the wheels. Sorry, not the tyres. I say tyres,
okay.
I mean the round things at the front of the bike. Tyres, wheels. Right, so it was homologated with these tyres. They can't race them tyres. The only other tyres they got would be different tyres. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They've no other option but to not race. Their bikes are effectively illegal. Now, I was completely on the FHO side, and I still kind of am, because I think in a situation like that, they have to there has to be some sort of leeway. However, it came to my attention through the iPlayer, as it did anybody else who was listening, that the rules have been there for 3 months. Them rules have been there for 3 months. So that has given the FHO team 3 months to approach the Northwest 200 and come up with some other viable solution. Is there anything we can do? Is there any way we can have a buy ball? Is there any sort of financial infringement that we can pay? I don't mean a bribe. But maybe as you're riding a bike, it's kind of like a bribe. But, I mean a fully transparent.
Well, the thing is, if the bike was made from standard with them wheels, and like you say, they've had 3 months to talk to him or what have you, why would they let them go through all the practicing and stuff?
My only thought of that is whoever was doing the scrutineering at the start didn't know the rules as well as what they should have. So they scrutineered the bike, they looked at the bike, as far as they were concerned the bike was fine, and then they maybe went through a second scrutineering to do the qualifying, and again they went through, and then they maybe went through a third scrutineering to do the race, and it was maybe at that point that a job's worth was there. Or...
Yeah, but the thing is, if they're starting to put carbon fibre wheels on standard bikes, it's only going to become more popular.
Yeah.
They're going to have to change the rules properly.
The other option is maybe the Northwest 200 were planning to let it slide, but somebody else complained.
Maybe
they were on the start and finish, ready to go, and then maybe a team put a complaint in saying, how come they're ready to race? That's obviously not been made public. It's not public knowledge because we don't know about it. But
it's like, you can't have these carbon fibre wheels, but you can't go and stick some aluminium ones on.
Well,
because it's an aftermarket wheel, because it wasn't made with them wheels. It's just daft.
That's very strange.
I thought it was really, really stupid. I think they should have been at least allowed to stick some aluminium wheels on them and let them race.
But is it the Northwest 200 that doesn't let them put aluminium wheels on?
Well, no, it just says no aftermarket wheels. So even if they were to change their carbon fibre wheels for a different wheel, that technically is an aftermarket wheel because it didn't come out of the factory.
And it's not homologated to that, so...
Fucking homologated. I hate that word, man.
And I think they said that was Alistair Seeley. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but definitely somebody, I think it was Alistair Seeley, was riding a BMW, and Steve Plater and that were commentating, and they were just asking the question, well, how come he can ride his bike? Because surely he must have bought his, unless his is an older model that doesn't come with carbon wheels, or carbon thingy wheels.
Yeah.
I'm
but
not
you wouldn't
sure.
be able to stick carbon wheels on it because they would be an aftermarket.
But maybe he got aluminium wheels on. In which case he's alright.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I saw a tweet or a post or something from Peter Hickman, just because they've obviously went through and read the TT rules, and apparently the TT's fine. And he's basically just saying, why, like the TT, like, would you agree that when it comes to road racing, I know Irish road racing is massive, but there's the Northwest 200, which a lot of people would argue is every bit as good as the TT. But I think a lot of people would maybe agree in the suggestion that the TT is the big daddy. The TT is the be all and end all in road
Yeah, it
racing.
is. Of course it is.
That's what Peter Hickman was trying to say, and what he was the point he was trying to make is if the TT says it's okay, why can all the road races, all of them, regardless of where they're at, whether it's Scarborough in England, the ones in Ireland, the ones in Northern Ireland, the Northwest, Ulster Grand Prix, TT, why can they all not just follow the TT rules? Rather than a different road race having different rules. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's common sense, really, isn't it? But obviously, somebody's made them rules up for the Northwest, and if they aren't followed, they're going to spit the dummy out.
Yeah.
So,
but the point I was trying to make with a transparent, like financial, not bribe, but you're sitting on the line. Is there nothing they could have said? What, right? You can race them wheels, but it's going to come at a punishment because you're now breaking the rules. Well, what's the punishment? Well, you're going to incur a financial loss, or you're going to incur a financial. What's the word? What's the word? Fine. You're going to be fined. You're going to be fined for breaking the rules. It sounds like a bribe. It's not a bribe, but there must have been something.
Yeah, something should have been done. It was bloody stupid.
Yeah.
All that money they wasted getting there and getting sorted,
and a few other ones I've mentioned about how much Fei-Ho invests in her team and how supportive she is of the Northwest 200 and road racing and all that. And I know rules is rules, and it's the same rule for everybody as for everybody else. But considering where road racing was at the beginning of this year and where the Northwest was at the beginning of this year, it was non-existent. Yeah. It's not really good publicity to be turning away literally the British Superbike champion, championship leader, a 2 times British Superbike champion,
a big bike team.
Yeah. They surely they could have come to some sort of agreement. They were literally on the grid, ready to go. And it was a shame. It was such a shame not to see Josh Brooks there because he's a British Superbike championship leader at the minute. It's a big name,
yeah, he's
and I know ultimately we got to see Peter Hickman because he had a few other bikes. But it would have been nice to have him race. Anyway, I don't think it spoiled the weekends or the week's racing events too much because the weather was absolutely glorious. The crowds were out in their masses. It looked absolutely fantastic to be there. I couldn't have been there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I didn't watch any of it on the iPlayer.
You can still watch it. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah, I can't use iPlayer.
So. Why not?
Yeah. Any other news?
What other news has he got? I was just looking at who's won what race in the Northwest. Right, this is the only other news he's got on there. Other news. Tara McKenzie has tested the MIE Honda Superbike at Mazzano after Hafish Sharin and Eric Granado suffered injuries at Catalunya. He could possibly wildcard on a Superbike at Donington Park.
Do you see now why I wanted you to read that?
Hafish Sharin.
Yeah, I would have said. Let me see what I would have said. Hafiz Sahirin.
Hafish.
That's how it would have come out.
I imagine that my cat has found a fish and it's ate half of it and there's half fish left. There's a half fish left. Half fish shiring. We do talk bollocks in this show. That's why it's called the Big Bad BS.
It is full of BS. Right. But yeah, that's good for Tara McKenzie.
Tara McKenzie, I'll give him an opportunity to move up from Super Sport to World Superbike for a day, I suppose, at the British Superbikes. So if he can do anything,
Yeah.
that might be an opportunity for him to then get into British Superbike team the year, or the World Superbike team, sorry, the year after, or maybe a couple of years after. Or...
I don't think he'll do a lot on it personally, but if somebody says, "Oh, do you fancy having a go on a super bike?" You're not going to say no, are you?
Well, the thing is, if you were having a really good super sport season and you were right up the sharp end, and they said to you, "Do you want to go on the World Superbike?" You'd be like, "Well, no, because I don't want to hinder my chances of winning the World Supersport." So maybe the team's maybe like, "You're available. Let's be honest, your super sport season's not going great." It's not having like a Taryn McKenzie, because obviously he needs time on the bike, but it's a great opportunity to learn. And like you say about other riders, some riders just go better on bigger bikes. So who knows what'll happen. Right.
Oh, cool. Is there any more news?
Not really. No, that's it. Just not any more news. Nothing else to talk about except MotoGP. Unless you want to go into who did what in the Northwest.
Can do if you want to.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit.
How did? In fact, yeah.
So race one was the Super Sport, which was won by Davy Todd. Alistair Seeley was second, and Richard Cooper was third. Richard Cooper's that lad that races the BMWs and British Superbikes. You know, the BMW 900 Cup.
Right, yeah.
He's a guy that's Chippy's favourite rider who's destined to win that championship. So he did quite well. Alistair Seeley, he goes quite well around the Northwest anyway. And then Davy Todd. So Davy Todd had previously won a Northwest prior to this, but it was in the wet. And last year he stood in the podium 4 times, at second place 4 times. So I think he really wanted to break that duck. And there was absolutely no shadow of a doubt, because there wasn't a drop of rain last week in Portrush, Portster or Coleraine. There wasn't one drop of rain. So Davy Todd has finally broke the duck, and he is an outright Northwest winner. And you could see what it meant to him whenever he won the race, because he was punching his bike with happiness. He was talking like on the, he was jumping up and down the podium. It meant a lot to him, as it does a lot of road races, because, like I said, there's what I would call them the 3 pillars in road racing. There's the Northwest, the Ulster Grand Prix, and the TT. I don't know if the Ulster Grand Prix is happening this year. I've heard at one stage it is, and now I've heard it's not. But it's got him. So yeah, Super Sport won, and then the second race on Thursday was the Super Stock, and that was again won by Alistair Seeley, and Davy Todd came second in that one, and Michael Dunlop came third. That was his first podium of the week.
Right.
You'd recognise all the other names. You got Dean Harrison there, Michael Rutter, James Hillier, John McGuinness.
Yeah.
And then I think it was...
Bloody hell, is John McGuinness still road racing?
Yeah, he's 51. Michael Rutter's 51.
Oh, Jesus
Mate,
Christ.
that's nothing. Jeremy McWilliams was there, and that old fucker's 59. He's still bobbing around. Jeremy McWilliams.
Bloody hell.
Jeremy McWilliams used to be in MotoGP, and I'll be honest, I used to underrate him. I was like, oh, Jeremy McWilliams, he's never going to win. But to be honest, he was in MotoGP whenever Max Biaggi was there. What's his name? Setai Jubenau was there. Valentino Rossi was there. You know, there were some real good riders there. Not to say he never had a chance, but... And then he went back down to... well, inverted commas, Moto2, the 250s, and he won a couple of races. He won in the Netherlands and stuff. So he was a decent rider. I was talking to my brother about it, and apparently he didn't start riding... This is Jeremy McWilliams. Didn't start riding motorbikes until he was like 23. So he was late to start riding motorbikes, and he made it to MotoGP. So he was obviously really good and really talented. You think riders now, they start when they're like 14, younger than that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So, and McWilliams never, I don't think he ever went to World Superbikes. If he went to World Superbikes, he probably would have cleaned up. Or at least been
where did John McGuinness come?
Sorry, I just went on a tangent there with Jeremy McWilliams. John McGuinness came 7th from that race.
Man.
Right.
51 and he's coming 7th still.
I know.
Oh dear, what a guy.
And then the Super Twin race, that was won by Richard Cooper. Peter Hickman was in that as well. So that Super Twin race, Richard Cooper, he was on a bike. I think it was one of Ryan Farquhar's bike. Have you ever heard of Ryan Farquhar?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically started the Super Twin, category for racing. And he was on one of his bikes, and it was Paul Jordan came second, and Alan McLean came third. Then you got a support race, another support race again. That was won by Davy Todd. Richie Cooper came third, and Richie Cooper came second. Peter Hickman came third. This is on the Saturday now. We're on now. These first two races were on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Race 3 on the Saturday was won by Glenn Irwin. That was a superbike race. That's the one everybody wants to win. That is the one I think Peter Hickman and Josh Brooks couldn't race in because of their problem with
their wheels.
Davy Todd came second in that one as well, so he's obviously smashing it, Davy Todd. If he's not winning, he's coming second. He's all over it. I don't know if he's doing the Isle of Man. I'd imagine he is.
I imagine he.
Be looking forward to see how he's on there.
Performing like that, he'd be daft not to.
In the superbike race, Michael Rutter came fourth, the old 51-year-old, and John McGuinness came fifth.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's class.
And then there's another Super Twin race won by Richard Cooper again, and Jeremy McWilliams came second, the old 59-year-old. Jesus. Still time for us yet, Ash. We could still be motorbike racers if we wanted to.
Oh, I don't think I'll ever be a motorbike racer, mate, to be honest.
Your old man started when he was 53, did he not?
Yeah, he was he was around that time. Yeah, he started on MZ 250s, and then he moved on to the Ninja 300s. He even had a VFR 400 at one point, and he was in that class as well. He had a few wins, and you go to his house, and it's just covered in trophies.
Race 5 on the Saturday was a super stock race, and Alistair Seeley won it, and Michael Dunlop came second, and Dean Harrison got third. And then the second superbike race, again, it was won by Glenn Irwin. Alistair Seeley was third, and Alistair Seeley was second, and Dean Harrison was third. So Glenn Irwin got a couple of superbike races.
That's good.
Richard Cooper seemed to do well, and Davy Todd seemed to do well throughout the weekend. Michael Dunlop, I think, got a couple of podiums, but no wins.
I think he'll smash the TT though.
But he's definitely a lot higher up in the road racing that he's fighting for. He was always fighting for the win.
Yeah.
Like some races up until there's 6 lap races. And each lap's about 5 minutes long, 4.5 minutes. And up until about lap 4, lap 5, they're in 6 bike battles. And then towards the last couple of laps, they start to stretch out a little bit. It's anybody's race for the first 4 laps, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I seen you yawning, made me yawn. Right, anyway, that's a little bit about the Northwest. We thought we should give it its dues and talk about it a little bit, but what we really want to get on to and talk about is the MotoGP.
Yes.
Like I said, it was the 1000th MotoGP.
1000th.
And it did not bloody disappoint.
It didn't. So MotoGP qualifying Q1 sorry, that had Quartararo, Marini, Mir, Rins, Fernandez, Nakagami, Morbidelli, Di Giannantonio, Petrucci, Frogler, is that right?
Folger, Jonas Folger.
Yeah, and Salvador. They were in the Q1. Yeah, there wasn't really much that really happened in it, to be honest. But I mean, Fabio Quartararo was showing some great pace in Q1, and I thought he would do because obviously it was his home track. And I believe he went into Q2 anyway, didn't he? But yeah, Marini took top. Oh no, he didn't. Marini and Fernandez took first and second, because Quartararo was in second for a while on Q1.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the results of Q2 Fernandez now, and he's not in there, so he didn't make Q2.
No, he got pipped by Fernandez right at the end. He had a proper flying lap, and he just chucked him out into third, so he had to start
Quartararo is having an absolute stinker of a season, isn't he?
He really is, and I feel so sorry for him because he's got the skill. He has got it, and the problem is the bike. Such a shame, isn't it? I mean, they did in testing. I seen there was a comment he made in testing. They tested all sorts of different stuff to try and make the bike better, and nothing helped.
But you say the problem's the bike. It's how much can you blame the bike? Like, I know we're going.
I think with Quartararo we can blame the bike quite a bit because we know he's a good rider. We know he's got pace. I think there's some serious problems with that bike. I don't think it's him. I really don't. But that's just my opinion.
I don't know. I'm not saying he's a bad rider. I just think maybe his head's going a little bit.
Maybe. But
like, just fast forward a little bit here, because I know we're talking about the qualifying before we get into the race. Just fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
You look at Johan Mir and Alex Rins maybe, and you say the Honda, it's the bike. But then Alex Rins goes out and wins a race, albeit it's one off. But he goes out and he wins a race because he likes that track. And then this week, Marc Marquez comes in, almost gets pole, pipped at the post just by Bagnaia in the very last lap.
Yeah.
And then he's racing for second and third.
Yeah, he was.
We can talk about that later.
Unbelievably.
Now, I know Marc Marquez is a phenomenal rider. I know he is. I know he's incredible. And I know he can do things on a bike that other people can't. But Alex Rins has already proved that the Honda's a race-winning bike. So in that case, whenever people say, "Oh, it's just a bike," is it really just a bike, or is Johan Mir and Alex Rins, even though he's won a race, but are they just not? Are just not up to scratch? And then that brings me back to my Quartararo Morbidelli. They say it's just a bike. Sometimes you need somebody to do something for you to see that it can happen. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might be looking and think, "Oh, nobody can do that. That can't happen." And then somebody can come along and do it, and you'd be like, "Jesus, that can happen." And that's when you know you have to pull your socks up.
Yeah, but I think if he was on a, it'd be nice to just see him jump on a different bike and see how he does.
You were going to say jump on a Ducati.
Well, it may as well. There's plenty of them.
Or what about somebody else jumping in the Yamaha to see how the Yamaha goes with them on it?
Maybe even that. But
top rack.
I can't see it. Quartararo, I think he's such a great rider.
He has a good rider,
He has
a good rider, but we'll talk about it in a bit. I've got a lot to say about that. Right,
for Fernandez to get into Q2, and also he's on the Gas KTM. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right. A lot of these riders
loving the KTMs at the moment.
A lot of these riders like Fernandez and stuff, I'm a little bit disappointed with, and it's not their fault. It's not the riders' fault. It's the media's fault, because the media hyped a lot of these young riders up so much as being the next this, the next that. And the truth of the matter is, and this also comes into, I go off on a lot of tangents, this also comes into my Bautista argument, which I got a bone to pick with you about that. So, the likes of Fernandez and these guys, they come in and there's not enough bikes for them to sit on good factory winning bikes, and then they end up just being mediocre. So do you want me to pick? Do you want me to tell you the bone I've got to pick? This is a complete digress of what we were talking about. So,
you may as well, now you've mentioned it. Let's see you cry.
So a few weeks ago, whenever I was on the pod, before I went to drive around Europe for a couple of weeks, I said to you that Bautista, the reason he didn't do well in MotoGP was because he never got to go on a decent bike. Because whenever he was in MotoGP, there was the likes of Rossi was there, Marquez was there,
Andrea Dovizioso
was there, yeah. Pedrosa was riding, Lorenzo was riding, Casey Stoner might even have been there for a bit of, all the, like, Nicky Hayden was there. All these riders were there, so that's why he couldn't go on a factory ride. And that's why they sent him to World Superbikes eventually. Now, I said to you a couple of weeks ago, do you think he should go to World Super or to MotoGP and get on a factory bike? And you were like, oh no, he's far too old. He can't do that. Oh, that would never happen. And then last week, you and Chippy were there milking each other. Oh, we're so good at doing podcasts when Sam's not here. And you even said to yourself, you were like, oh, would love to see him go to MotoGP and ride a factory bike for a year. And I was like, that's what I said.
To see what he would be like. I don't think I'd want to see him for a year. I'd like to see what he was like on a GP bike now, on a Ducati especially. But I never
right. But if Bautista goes and wild cards on a Ducati factory bike and absolutely blows it out of the water and wins a race, or even comes second or third. Considering Bagnaia likes to crash a lot by the looks of things, do you not think Ducati's going to be like, oh, let's stick him on there for a season? Let's give him a season.
Maybe. But what my point was with the World Supers is he's doing that well in the World Supers at the moment. I don't think he'd want to move.
No, I can't.
Why would he want to? Why would he want to move off that Ducati?
Can't see he would
to MotoGP when he's just destroying World Superbikes.
No, I know. I can't see he would.
But I would like to see him on a wild card on the factory Ducati. That would be cool.
I'd like to see him as well, but that's not going to happen. Let's be honest.
No.
Right, so going back to what I was saying about Fernandez and the likes of them. So whenever they were in Moto3, going through Moto3 and into Moto2, there was so much hype put in them, as there was with Quartararo. But the truth is, there's just not enough bikes in MotoGP for all these riders to sit in the championship winning bike. And I know some people might disagree, but at the end of the day, there's only a certain number of bikes on the grid that can actually win a championship at any one time.
Yeah.
And unless you're lucky enough and fortunate enough to get in the bike. Like, because if you get into a satellite team, you're almost guaranteed not to win the championship. I know that this year that's been thrown in his head because Marco Bezz is literally in the fight for a championship and he's on a factory bike.
He really is, isn't he? Yeah. He's doing really well.
Qualifying. The only thing I've got to say about qualifying was I genuinely thought Marc Marquez had it in the bag.
Yeah,
I seen it. I was like, he's got it in the bag. I can hear Chippy right now, and it would have been deserved. And then Bagnaia come over, literally the last sector, because he was in little oranges the whole way around. I thought he's not going to do it. He's going to get second or third. And literally the fourth sector in the last lap, I don't know what he done. I don't know what sort of magic he did. But he pulled it out. He got over the line, and I was roaring. I was like, yes, come on! It's just. Fuck you, Chippy. I just cannot be doing with Chippy getting one over on me. So it was like, but yeah, it was really good for Marquez. Yeah. Like, he definitely proved that if he could keep himself on the bike, he would be a championship contender. But he just likes to crash.
Yes, he does. Yeah, that pretty much covers Q1, to be honest.
Well, I just covered Q2 as well. Not really much to talk about, really.
Yeah, Marquez, he was looking a bit shaky at a few points, but he was putting in decent lap times. Vinales was doing really well. He kept every lap he was improving.
Vinales is all over the place because some weeks he has a good week. And I know different tracks at different riders and different bikes and blah, blah, blah. But some weeks, Vinales has a really good week. He gets off to a great start. He does well. He's in the hunt. You actually think he could challenge for a podium. And you see these like little moments of brilliance. And you're like, this is what Vinales is. This is why he was hyped up so much. This is the Moto2 winner we've seen. And then other weeks he comes out and he's just nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, he's very inconsistent.
And it baffles me as to, because this week I think he had a chance. Ultimately he threw it up the road. Well, it still remains to be seen whether it was him or Bagnaia threw it up the road, but one of them threw it up the road and took the other one with them.
Yeah, it was a shame on Jack Miller's last lap because he got stuck behind Fernandez. If he hadn't been stuck behind Fernandez on that last lap, he would have taken pole.
You think so?
100%.
Yeah.
It was that quick. I reckon if he hadn't have had Fernandez there, he would have definitely got pole.
Jack Miller he looked good this weekend, but
oh yeah, he really did. But
then again, he just keeps on crashing.
Dumb ways to die. Yeah, so that's for Q2. That's pretty much covers it. Everything else was pretty standard. I tell you what though, bloody Espargaro, with 3 minutes to go, he crashed at 170 miles per hour and freaking coming up to that corner.
Was that in qualifying?
That was in qualifying, yeah.
I remember that. It looked to me like he knew the front was going and he almost had time. He didn't really fall off. It almost looked like he jumped off.
Yeah, yellow flagged.
Yeah.
But he was literally coming up to that corner and it's like he must have touched the brake and obviously lost the front, and because he literally just touched it, I think he just let go of the brake and thought, I'm fucked. And flew off in a straight line.
I got the impression that he realised it was going and he thought, if I hold on to this bike, I'm going into that gravel track at 100 and something miles an hour and this bike's going to roll. So he just kind of let go and jumped off. Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine going at that speed.
You can't, can you?
Imagine going at that
Coming off at 170 miles per hour.
But this was all run through my head and I watched it, because now you tell me this, it's all bringing it back. Going at that speed, and you feel the front going, and your instincts just kick in, like split-second instincts to prepare yourself for, inverted commas, a crash. You and I, if we did that, we would just come off and we would just be there for the ride. And I know they are a little bit, but they obviously train for this sort of stuff. They know how to put their body. Some of them, apparently they're supposed to try and starfish or something because it stops them from rolling. And
yeah, that was really bad. And obviously he was okay. He walked away from it, which is good. But apart from that, there wasn't much else going on in qualifying. After they finished qualifying, though, they did a really, really nice piece on Danny Pedrosa from the last MotoGP race. I don't know if you've seen that.
I did see that, yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool.
And apparently he's going to wildcard again at Misano.
Oh, I hope that's true. Because he went really well on that KTM.
Oh, he went really, really well. He went really well. And if he wildcards at Misano and gets a good few points, he might actually beat Marquez in the championship. He's still got more points than them.
What do you call him? Senor Vaso?
Yeah, but I probably shouldn't. Sounds a bit racist to say that. Vaso means glass in Spanish. It's just Mr. Glass in Spanish. But I don't know if that's how it translates in Spanish, because my Spanish isn't as good as I like to make it out to be.
Yeah. I did sort of catch some of Moto3 qualifying, not a lot. Wow. It was pretty standard, to be honest. Mino crashed out on the last lap, but he still managed to secure third.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about Moto2 qualifying? Because that was quite good, wasn't it?
All I've really got on Moto2 qualifying was Sam Lowe's absolutely smashed it out of the park. But he went round there. He went round there in qualifying, and I can remember I was texting Chippy, or maybe I was texting the group chat. Not sure, because he didn't see it and he was asking what it was like. And I said to him, or the group chat, whatever, I was like, if Sam Lowe's performs as well as he can, judging by his qualifying around the French GP, it's going to be Jerez all over again. He's going to nobody will touch him. Nobody will get close to him. If he gets out in front and just ticks off the laps the way we know he can, because he got a 135.
Yeah.
Like they were pushing. I think in free practice he got a 136.1, and the closest to that was like a 136.3 or something. So he was going into it already favourite to get pole position, and then he pulls out a 135. But he was absolutely smashing it around that.
He was. He's doing. Do you know what? He's doing really well at the moment.
Well,
Obviously he had a bit of a mare, but
yeah,
yeah, but then he wasn't the only one. I mean, Tolovic, Jake Dixon, Aaron Canet all crashed in qualifying. There was a red flag, and that was all at the end. It was a red flag right at the end of the session.
yeah. Will we get on? Will we jump onto the racing?
Yeah, onto the sprint race.
Yeah.
Sprint race was good. It was good to see how packed Le Mans was packed, and I mean,
Absolutely,
I don't think there was a spare seat.
They said that was record breaking for the amount of people that was there. Like the number of
there was no empty seats there. Was just rammed.
The number of spectators that was there was just phenomenal. Like I think it did break records. I think the idea that it was the 1000th race, MotoGP race.
I think that
the weather was absolutely glorious. And Friday, whenever the MotoGP was starting, I was driving from where was I? I was driving from. So on the Thursday, I drove from Lyon to Paris, and then on Friday, I was driving from Paris to Calais. The amount of bikers that was passing me on the way to Calais because I had to get the train back over, and I was second man at the time, and I was out the window to all the bikers, like, yeah. I said to me buddy, I was like, mate, turn this bloody truck around, me and you for Le Mans.
Get in there, just drive it. They probably would have let you in as well.
But ultimately, that didn't happen. The weather was absolutely glorious. It was fantastic. So that was obviously a lot to do with why so many people were there. It was record-breaking. They even mentioned it in BT Sport. They mentioned it on the MotoGP app as well, because I was streaming it on there. The amount of people that come out to watch it. So
moving on to the actual sprint race.
There seems to be... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say Jack Miller had a good start. Go on.
I was just going to say, there seems to be, as there always was going to be, but there seems to be the riders who really prefer the sprint race.
Yeah.
I.e., Martin and Bender are both always up there with the sprint race.
They're loving it.
Yeah. And Jack Miller seems to like the sprint race as well. Like you said, he got off to a good start.
Yeah.
And then there's the riders who seem to hate it.
Yeah.
Like Zarco.
There is, Zarco. And Daniele Petrucci was obviously back for on one of the bikes.
Yeah, he didn't do very well.
No, he didn't. I didn't think he would, but he hates the sprint races in World Superbikes.
No, he doesn't have a lot to say about the sprint races in World Superbikes, so he's obviously not going to like them at all.
No, he didn't do that well.
Came 16th.
Jack Miller had a good start, but he crashed out again. It's a real shame to see, because he's just... I think he's great. I do really like him, but you just can't stay on it. You know,
no.
It's becoming a
bit of a habit, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he not crash out in the main race as well?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's like the closest thing we got to a British bloke,
but the thing is, he's always, well, I'll say always, he's whenever he first went to Ducati, I think he went there with the intention to try and be Ducati's number one rider. But he seems to have a habit of throwing up the road, and I think he quickly became Ducati's number two rider. And at the start of this season, some people may have argued that Jack Miller was the number one rider and Brad Binder was the number two rider.
I was saying that I was one of them people.
Yeah, I wasn't having a dig at you. It was just people were saying that. But I think you can honestly say now that as far as KTM are concerned, their number one rider is Brad Binder.
Absolutely.
And Jack Miller's their number two. And even some of the commentators say things like, Jack Miller's such a good teammate, he's such a good number two rider. That even they're starting to realise that that's what he is. And that's a shame, because Jack Miller's he's a really good rider. He can win races, but first he has to stay on the bloody bike. Because You can win championships just by winning 1 or 2 or 3 races, and the rest of the season you just have to stay consistent. As long as you can stay on the bike and get some points and stay consistent, but he just can't stay on the bike because he's pushing too hard.
He's pushing too hard. That's it. Yeah, I think he still thinks he has some sort of point to prove.
Or I don't know.
Like I say, I agree with you now. Brad Binder is definitely KTM's number one rider. I was one of them that was saying at the start that it's definitely still Jack Miller, but he can't, like you say, he can't stay on.
All the riders that didn't finish the sprint race, and I think it's because they fell off, was Miller, Fernandez, Jonas Folger, Fabio Quartararo.
I know, yeah,
because he is having a dreadful season.
You just see the look on his face, and he's just miserable.
He is. I think he needs to get away from Yamaha. Right, regardless of what I was saying earlier about as a Yamaha, as a rider, there's obviously something wrong with the bike. Like if you put Fabio Quartararo on a championship winning bike, he'd win a championship. He'd at least be in the fight.
Yeah, I think he needs to move, but where's he going to move to?
But what's Yamaha going to do if he does move? Yamaha's just not going to let him go, are they?
Well,
who's
going
to
have?
Who's going to? They don't even have a satellite team.
Moto2?
Honestly, do you think Arbolino or Acosta is going to want to go onto the Yamaha? Acosta's going to want to go KTM.
Probably not. Well, Did you see that link that I shared?
Yeah.
So it's rumoured that they're possibly going to do a KTM team with Marc Marquez and Pedro Acosta.
I can't see that at all. Absolutely no way.
Can you not?
No, I do
can
not.
Certainly see Pedro.
I can see Pedro Acosta going there, but not Marc Marquez. Why would anybody... Like, I had a little debate with somebody on Facebook about this. Why would anybody want to take Marc Marquez at the minute? I know he's fast. We all know he's fast. We know he's phenomenal. But his current track record is push, push, crash. Push, 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 crash. And I know...
He'll get a ride because he's
Marc Marquez,
big-time world champion.
But I know people will say he's on the Honda, and the Honda isn't where it should be, and he has to ride too hard in the Honda. But this week, this is going fast forward a bit because we're not in the sprint race now, we're in the actual race. This week, Marc Marquez, all he had to do, if he's not on a bike that's good, realise that he's not finished a race, I mean a main race rather than a sprint, and just being like, I'm just going to have to settle for third. But he doesn't seem mature enough to do that. It's like you would think going into the 5th race of the season, you've not finished a race, bar a sprint race. You've got hardly any points. You're racing for 2nd and 3rd. You obviously know when you're pushing too hard. You must feel it. You must know when you're there, when you're at the limit. And at what point
he's trying to be the old Marc Marquez,
yeah,
but he can't.
But on a bike that's not competitive enough. So why does he not just go? You know what? I'll just settle for 3rd. I'll bring in some points, and I'll not cost Honda a few £100,000 for throwing my bike up.
Yeah, I know.
So
I don't think Honda will want to keep him.
Yeah, but looking at that, why would KTM be like? Well, why do we want that? Why do we want a rider who's just going to cost us money? Is he actually going to... Like, it comes down to this. Will he win as a championship? And if they've got Pedro Acosta there, who they then want to win a championship because he's the future, Marquez might win 1, he might win 2. Pedro Acosta could win 5 or 6. So who are they going to... Are they going to have Marc Marquez there as like a mentor? Because I can't see Marc Marquez being a mentor.
Well, I'm just thinking it'll be the same sort of thing with what they did with Rossi. So obviously he left the factory Yamaha because he wasn't performing enough. He'll go to a different team. I think he'll definitely go to a different team, whether that be KTM, I don't know. But I think the next team he goes to, that will be him on his way out. It'll be basically what happened with Rossi, I think.
Rossi went to Ducati because he liked the idea.
No, I meant like obviously after he left because he went to Petronas Yamaha, didn't he?
Yeah, but he went to a satellite team. He stayed with Yamaha.
So that's what I mean. So Marquez, really, I can see him going to a satellite team, not full factory.
A satellite KTM team.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe. Obviously, it's a
And
rumour,
do
but...
you think is Pedro Acosta going to go to a satellite KTM team?
Well, I would like to think he'd be going to full factory, to be honest.
You take Jack Miller's seat.
Yeah.
And Jack Miller will go to a KTM satellite
Possibly
team.
go to KTM satellite, yeah.
We Marquez.
Yeah.
Tallying up who crashes the most.
Fucking hell. Well, we've just lost all the fans of Mark Marquez and Jack Miller.
Nah, we're really joking. It's only about fun. But...
No. I don't know. I mean, I think that's the way Marquez will go out. He's still a phenomenal rider.
He is still a phenomenal rider. He's absolutely incredible. Because I said, we were watching the sprint race. We'll go back to sprint race. We were watching the sprint race, and you messaged me and you said Marc Marquez is doing really well. And what I said to you was he'll slowly start falling back because he's got fatigue. He's ring rusty. That's the way you would describe it, because he's not finished enough races. And slowly but surely he started to drop back, and I think he went back as far as fifth, was it? Yeah, he ended up fifth, which is where I thought he was. I genuinely thought in the main race he had been further back than that. But let's be honest, about 40 people fell off. So if they hadn't have fell off, he might have been further back. Because in the main race, he was racing with Jorge Martin, and Zarco was behind him. And before, when he was racing at the top, before Miller fell off and Fernando, or hold on a minute, I'm in the wrong one. Before everybody fell off in the main race.
Sorry, are we still on the sprint race?
I'm all over the place. Yeah, do you want to keep talking about the sprint race? I can't help that.
We'll get into the main race.
My mind just goes all over the place. You know what I'm like. So for people that's listening that don't know, because Ash knows me, he knows what I'm like. I've got like some sort of ADHD or something. I'm all over the place. I just can't. I can't keep a straight line of like thought for any two length of time.
Well, I'd rather have ADHD than freaking anxiety. I can tell you that much.
Sleep apnea. Too much wanking. That's what that is.
Too much what?
Too much wanking at night rather than getting sleep.
Oh dear. How do you know? Jorge Martin, Brad Binder, and Pecco Bagnaia was the result for the sprint race.
Was, yeah.
Martin had I wasn't, even though he's really quick, I wasn't expecting him to win.
He's good in the sprint race, though. He seems to really like the sprint race.
He's great.
I think is he the third person to win a sprint race? Because Bender's won one previously.
Yeah.
Or Bender's won two of them sprint races previously. I think Pecco Bagnaia maybe won a couple.
Yeah, I think definitely. He won the first because he won the first ever sprint race.
Yeah, but Jorge Martin has always been up there and has always been battling.
Yeah.
In the sprint races.
He's doing really well on that satellite Ducati, like.
He is, yeah. I genuinely thought Johan Zarco would be the number one rider in that team, but it still remains to be seen. But Jorge Martin seems to be doing a lot better on it than what Zarco is.
Yeah, definitely. But that's we'll see what happens. Obviously, we wanted to see. I wanted to see either Zarco or Quartararo up there for the win, really, with them being in France. But
I'd love to see Zarco win a race. I've said this before, but at the start of the season, it looked possible. But every round we go to now, it just seems to be getting farther and farther back.
Yeah, well, it's still a few more meets, so we'll see how it gets on.
Yeah, there's still
unless you've got anything else on the sprint, do you want to move into the Moto2?
Would you like to do the Moto2 or do the MotoGP first?
It's up to you. We can do Moto2 first or MotoGP. I'm not bothered.
People aren't even listening anyway. They only listen for 6 minutes.
No. We'll get into Moto2. So it was obviously a great start for Sam Lowes. Straight away, pretty much, on the first couple of corners, Jake Dixon and Aaron Canet had a bit of a bump.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that they were going round and had a bit of a clash, which made Jake Dixon drop back to 14th. And then not long after that, Sam Lowe's had a bit of a mare, didn't he?
He just seemed to lose the front, didn't he? He just seemed to pop away
did.
from him. My head was in
really,
my
really
hands as well. I was watching that and he was in
know.
third. And I thought, like, in my head, like, I'm so nervous watching Sam Lowe's.
I am as
Because
well.
going back to years ago, different championships in MotoGP, but going back to years ago, whenever Rossi got into the front, you just watched him tick laps over and over, and you just knew it was just. And then Marquez, like, maybe not so much now, like.
No, but you knew he was going to check out and
whenever,
win.
before his injury,
Yeah,
he would get to the front, and you just knew it was like something phenomenal has to happen for him to crash. He just ticks right lap after lap after lap. Bagnaia is like a little bit like he gets to the front, and you're just waiting for any time the front end could go or something.
yeah.
And Sam Lowe's is like that. He just makes you nervous.
And like you say, with Rossi and Marquez, when they obviously checked out lap after lap, you weren't worrying about it.
No, you had so much confidence that they were going to win the race, and you could enjoy watching them. And I know part of the reason is because I'm a massive Sam Lowe's fan and he's British and I want him to do well, but I just watched, I know how fast he was this weekend. I know how fast he was. And after doing so well in Jerez, I just thought, if you put it all together, Sam, you're going to win this race and you're going to become a title contender. And that question mark about who's the number one rider, is it Arbolino or is it Sam Lowe's, that's going to become an even more of a debate. But I had this niggle in the back of my head. I was like, I think I actually was about to message you before the race started and just say, I think he's going to throw it up the road. And then, but the thing is, the crash that happened, the way he dropped it, a lot of riders did that this weekend. A lot of riders, even we go back to like Espargaro, whenever he in his qualifying, the front end just
with
seemed
the front end, and it always seemed to be happening there as well.
Yeah. And it seemed to be like just towards on the front brake, just as you're coming in, giving it a bit too much.
Yeah,
but he does.
But then after Sam Lowe's crashed out, there was a massive crash.
With, monster crash!
Aaron Canet and Gonzalez on turn 5.
It was one of them where you just because it didn't show you it was showing you another corner, and then in the background you just seen bikes flying all over the place.
Just flying all over the place, man. It was unbelievable. So obviously because of that, they red flagged it, and I didn't think they were going to red flag it at first. They went chat about that. Yeah, they went nearly the whole way around the lap before they red flagged it. I think first and foremost, I think they realised that nobody was injured, because if somebody had been injured and they were given treatment on the side of the in the runoff, they would have red flagged it. But I think the debate amongst the marshals must have been, can we get these bikes up and out of the way in time? Yeah.
And obviously, whoever's running the circuit, they're obviously talking to them, and they know everybody's okay, inverted commas. We just need to get the bikes out of the way. And then, obviously, they're coming round the corner. It's like, it's not happening. Red flag to race. Which worked, obviously, in Sam Lowe's hands, because...
Yeah, but then we get into the... then we get into the whole Sam Lowe's thing, and we're thinking, can he start? Can he not? If he can get his bike back, he can. Holy shit.
We were messaging each other. It was like, oh, God, if he gets back to the paddock in time, he can start again.
I love the fact that he jumped on the fucking... Whoever went to pick him up on the moped, he chucked him on the back and was like, screw you, I can get to the paddock quicker.
Yeah, I just remember watching it. And he was like, usually they fall off, they're on the back, and he was like riding the thing. Sam Lewis just walked up to the guy, fuck off, mate, I'm faster.
He got off the moped and then he sort of ran like a bit of a monkey, because obviously the airbag had gone off. He sort of looked like a chimp running towards the changing room to get some new levers on.
And then he just had to stand there and wait, hurry up and wait.
Oh, God, in that last 10 seconds when they were trying to get the bike started, I was like, come on, Sam, you can do it. And then he got set off and nearly ran over one of his crew.
I know.
And he got set off and
he was literally... He was literally 10 seconds right, and
And he started shaking his head, and I was like,
you think about how hard the team worked. Even Arbolino's like mechanics were in there helping. You think about how hard that team worked, the amount of effort they went in.
Tell you what, they quickly got that bike back together. I mean, they had 5 minutes, didn't they? Originally, it was 2 minutes, and then
I know rules are rules, and it's kind of going back to the whole FHO Northwest thing. I know rules are rules, but he was 5 seconds too late. Like, for fuck's sake, can you not just let him out? I know rules are rules, but it's like, come on. I basically just built a bike. I can't even build a Lego bike that fast. Basically just built a bike. 5 seconds.
Jesus. I know, it's proper gutting.
And then you think about...
because then he had to start from the back.
You think if he would have got out and started in pole position again...
he probably would have won it.
He might have came second or third at the very least. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was so disappointed for him.
It worked out that he had to start from the back because obviously he didn't get out in time.
Well, you actually think he didn't get out in time. That might have been a godsend because whenever he was sitting in the pits ready to take off, he was pointing down at his rear brake or something because somebody came out and they were playing about his rear brake. So perhaps I don't know at the rules whether on a quick restart of mechanics are allowed back out in the actual grid. So if that hadn't happened, he maybe would have went out in an unsafe bike and had to come in anyway. So
yeah, that's true.
But let's just say it was a lot of bloody effort to go through for a point.
It was. There was a lot of shouting at the TV from me at that point.
Yeah, I was shouting at the TV.
Then there was the restart. Obviously went away, and Tony Arbolino, Pedro Acosta had a really, really good start. Because Pedro didn't have that good of a start on the first one anyway, so it played into their hands really well. Jake Dixon also had a much better start as well. He ended up in 6th pretty quickly. And then all of a sudden, the worst happened, Pedro Acosta crashes, which I wasn't expecting. Pedro's usually so bloody consistent.
I didn't know he crashed a bit last year. I crashed at the French GP last year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Mm-hmm.
Rory Skinner crashed out.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Which was a real shame.
Only fans.
Jake Dixon finished 5th, which I thought was okay for him.
Gonzalez, Arenas, and Canet. Was Arenas involved in the red flag? I know Gonzalez and Canet
It was Aaron Canet and Gonzalez, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they started again at all.
Arenas, yeah. They didn't start again, no. Their bikes were totaled. I did see a clip when obviously we were waiting for Sam Lowe's to get back out, and I did see one of the bikes and it was just in bits.
Mm-hmm.
No way they were getting that fixed.
Going back to before qualifying and stuff, did you see Vietes see it? Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
It was like Marquez-esque.
It was like, it was
like FP2 or something like that.
Right? He put his elbow on and held
he
up.
He had lost it, and then somehow he just held on to it and pushed himself on his elbow and found a little bit of grip. How long is it going to be before that becomes a riding technique?
Yeah, I know.
How long is it going
to be? Like Speedway.
How long is it going to be before a rider comes out and thinks, I can take half a second off this lap by doing that? And they just,
every corner.
they just put like loads of sliders all over there, and they just basically go out and slide the bike right. I don't even know. Would that even be faster? Who knows? But anyway, this is how
stick a metal rod in his levers to hold his arm up better.
Yeah, this is how I digress and can't stay to topic. Right?
So that finished Arbolino 1st, Salak 2nd, and Lopez 3rd in that race.
Jake Dixon got 5th.
Yeah, got 5th.
Do you know that there's a little battle going on between Jake Dixon and Sam Lowe's in the championship?
Yes. Yeah, there is.
Because if you go to the Moto2 World Championship standings, Jake Dixon is in 6th with 47 points.
Yeah.
Sam Lowes is in 7th with 44 points. So there's a little rivalry going on there between the Brits. Of course, if Sam Lowes had finished at his full potential last week, he'd been right up there with the likes of Pedro Acosta and Alonso Lopez on about 60-something, maybe even 70 points, but that wasn't to be. Anyway,
did you hear about Salah got robbed while he was in France? Did you hear the commentators talking about it?
No. Well, but
he left his phone and his wallet and everything in his car, and somebody broke in and nicked it all. I shouldn't laugh because obviously it's a bit shit for him, but apparently that's why he was racing so well and got second, because he was pissed off he got robbed.
That'll be his team manager, great, robbing him every weekend now.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably him thinking, right, stick it to the French. I've just been fucking robbed. I'm going to go win. I'm going to go try and win. Yeah, I heard about that. They were sort of having a bit of a laugh about it, the commentators, and I started laughing as well because I thought it was quite funny.
Somebody else's.
Wonder how much they actually got. So that sort of covers Moto2, really. It was obviously very dramatic with the red flag.
Yeah, it was, and ultimately it was not a race win for Tony Arbolino, who has proven to be a serious. Well, he always was a title contender, but it looks like he is going to be the man to beat because he seems very consistent.
Really consistent and really, really good.
And he's on a good
bike. He
bike.
doesn't really make many cock-ups.
I was reading an article today about Pedro Acosta, and it was something similar to these rumours that's going around about him and Marquez being in the same team in MotoGP.
Yeah.
And somebody was suggesting that maybe he shouldn't even go to MotoGP just yet. Maybe he should spend another year in Moto2. Because he's only 19.
Yeah, that's true.
He's only 19. And we talked earlier about the likes of Fernandez and, the riders who were, even Quartararo to an extent, the riders who were, and Jack Miller, the riders who were just purposely fast-tracked to get into MotoGP because they were the next big thing. And they get to MotoGP, and one reason or another, it doesn't happen for them the way they think it should, or the way the media think it should. And it's like, they don't need to get there that quick. Like, you look at Danny Pedrosa, the man's 37, he came in a wild card, and he did really well. So you imagine that if he was still racing competitively week in and week out, he'd be doing well. So if you look after yourself, you've got longevity in this career. So you've got until at least your early 30s. Marquez is still racing in his 30.
Yeah.
So Pedro Acosta, if he does another year in Moto2, he still go up.
I don't think he will, though.
I don't think he will, but my point is, you still go to MotoGP at 20 years of age.
He'll be offered a ride and he'll take it.
Well, it's looking really clear. Do you think he wants to go to MotoGP not being the Moto2 champion, though? Because Tony Arbolino was already a full race win ahead of him.
I just think if, obviously, KTM in MotoGP were to offer Pedro Jack Miller's ride, he's not going to say no.
No, I don't think he would.
He would take it. He'd snatch the hand off. They're all. A lot of people are saying that Pedro Acosta's the next Marc Marquez, so he's going to want to try and live up to that, I think. But we will see. Who knows? Jack Miller might pull his finger out of his ass and actually stay on the track.
Neil Hodgins was comparing him more to Rossi at the weekend.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you heard it.
No, I didn't hear that.
Because he said, well, I like the way he said it. He basically said he reminded him of Valentino Rossi in the sense that he's very good. But he said he reminds him of Rossi because of his racecraft, in the sense that he knows what's going on around him and he almost knows what other people are going to do. and he knows how to like work with that, his racecraft. And
Yeah.
then he went on to say, I'm not saying Marquez didn't have racecraft. Marquez is more like, I'm coming through, whether you're ready or not. Whereas Valentino Rossi had more craft about him. He was a better rider, that's what he said. But he was comparing Pedro Costa to Valentino Rossi.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's big shoes to fill.
Well, Valentino Rossi is the GOAT, isn't he? As Chippy would say. Chippy thinks Rossi's the best.
Uh-huh. Do you want to go on to Moto3?
I didn't actually catch any of Moto3, so we can do if you want to sort of walk us through that.
Don't think to go into it in great detail. We'll just have a quick chat about it.
Yeah.
So, the British hopes, Scott Ogden, he came off fairly early on, to be honest.
Right. I mean, what position was he in when he came off?
He wasn't very far
Do you
up,
know?
to be honest. He wasn't doing
Not
very.
very
He wasn't
far
having the best weekend of his life, but
No.
yeah. So he came off. My man Joe Kelso came 11th.
He kept his eyes open for that race.
Well, he must have, yeah. And his arch nemesis, who he tried to bring off for winning the race, was Danny Holgado, who inevitably won the race. Who seems to be, again, he seems to be the guy to beat in Moto3.
And that's KTM again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is he riding a KTM? Yeah, he is,
Yeah. Who is it you always go for? Suzuki?
Sasaki, yeah. I
Yeah,
usually go for Sasaki for the win.
Suzuki came second. He was really, really close.
Oh, did he?
He was not even 1 second, he was 0.1 behind
Jesus.
Holgado. So
That's how close it was
it
then.
was close, yeah. It was really, really close at the top. But Holgado just pepped him at the end.
Yeah. He's a good rider, Sasaki. I like him.
He is good riding, but Danny Holgado just seems to be
Yeah.
the man to beat at the minute. Nobody really seems to be able to get a touch on him.
I'm so impressed with how KTM are doing with all their riders at the moment.
Good team.
It really is. Like, I just can't get over how they've come on leaps and bounds over the past sort of couple of years.
Yeah.
If somebody said to me, what bike do you want to be on right now, I'd say KTM. Even over a Ducati. But
I would probably say the same, because I think there's a good vibe at KTM from the Moto3
massively.
right.
And I mean, you've got Pedro fucking not Pedro, Danny Pedrosa as a fucking test rider as well.
Yeah.
Which is class. Who wouldn't want to work with a fucking samurai? Absolutely brilliant. Was there any other offs in Moto3?
There was a couple,
Was
yeah.
it just Scott Ogden?
Scott Ogden wasn't the only one to come off. There was a few other ones.
Yeah. But do you know what? I know you're saying that it was so close between Holgado and Sasaki. It sounded like it was quite a good race, actually.
Yeah, so the other ones to come off were Asman, Minho,
Okay, yeah.
Minho,
Yeah.
Ogden, Moreira, who I always think is a girl.
How did Anna Carrasco do?
Anna Carrasco.
She got me a point, yeah, what?
Right, so 22nd place, the person that came last was Josh Watley, British guy. But at least he finished.
Yeah. I'm not going to get this point, am I?
Anna Carrasco came in 20th place. Now, to give you some idea where she came, 19th place came 19 seconds after the leader.
Oh my god.
20th place, Anna Carrasco, came 30 seconds after the leader.
Oh my god.
So, she was actually 14 seconds away from getting the point.
Yeah, that's a fair odd bit of time there, like.
She's never going to get a point.
No, she's not. I shouldn't have made the bet.
Well, who cares? She might get a point. You never know.
No, it's not going to happen. Anna, if you're listening and you get a point, I will do some crazy stuff.
Yeah,
just get a point. Yeah. I just want to beat Chippy more than anything. I don't care about giving blood. It doesn't bother me.
Anything that will get us arrested.
What's that?
I said, let's not say anything that will get us arrested. Anna Carrasco, if you get a point, will do some crazy stuff. That's right. Right, let's get into it. Let's get into the main race, because that's what we want to talk about. That's the only reason people listen to us. You want to hear about the MotoGP. You only left it for 6 minutes and we talk shite. So let's get to the MotoGP. Right. Flag goes down, take off. As usual, KTM's, brilliant start. Jack Miller, good start.
Yeah, really good start. But so did Marquez.
Marquez got a good start, and I thought, here we go. Marquez is going to do well in this race, and I genuinely thought Marquez was going to end up get a bike like 5th or 6th somewhere.
Yeah, but he had such a great race. I was actually at one point I was really rooting for him, and I was thinking I really hope he gets a podium, because I think it would, it'd be really nice for him to get a podium because it's been so bloody long.
Yes, but Marquez was battling for 2nd, 3rd.
Yeah.
He was fighting the
Jorge
Martin, and Zarco was behind him. Now,
yeah,
before everybody crashed, Marquez was battling at the front.
Yeah.
All the riders that were between him and Jorge Martin was Maverick Vinales, Bagnaia, Alex Marquez, Luca Marini, Jack Miller. That's 5 riders who were all between him and Jorge Martin. So if they hadn't come off, I know first to finish you got to finish. To finish first you got to finish. First you got to finish, blah, blah, blah. But them 5 riders hadn't come off, judging by the fact that he was racing with Jorge Martin, you have to come to the conclusion that they probably would have passed him.
Yeah, I agree with you. They probably would have.
Maybe not all of them, but 1 or 2 of them with. My point is, well, my point's back to the same one. I think he should have took it a bit easier and settled for 3rd. Took the podium.
Yeah.
Rather than pushing too hard and coming off.
At least he would have got some points then as well.
I think the first big talking point of the race was the fisticuffs.
That was a class. Obviously, it was like British Superbikes of a week, wasn't it?
At one stage, this race was just kicking off all over the place, and it's not just because of the crashing; it was because of the overtaking that was going on. It was the way they were riding. The crashing, obviously, a few crashes come into it, and they just seem to be happening all over. It was like a sprint race, and I genuinely think if this had been a sprint race, riders would have been complaining, because you know the way they like to complain about how the sprint races are dangerous. If this had been a sprint race, they would have been complaining about it, because they were just scattering into each other all over the place. And it was pretty crazy. I spent most of the time with my head in my hands. I was just like, what's going on? Like, I was messaging you guys. I was like, what?
I know, but the messages were just pinging all over the place.
They were what the fuck? What is going on? Who was to blame between Vinales and Bagnaia? Who was to blame for that? I know you'll say racing incident, but somebody had to be to blame. Somebody's fault.
They both. Do you know what? They both just took a racing line, and unfortunately, there is no freaking air traffic control for bikes to tell them who's going where, and they've just both taken that same path.
Whenever I first seen it, because I remember messaging in the chat, I was like, "What the fuck is Vinales playing at?" Because it looked like he did a Marquez. It looked like he just tried to take too. It looked like he tried to take too much. He was trying to break too late into the corner. He lost control and just rattled into Bagnaia. And then later on, I saw it again. I actually saw it from the onboard. I think it was Bagnaia's onboard or something. And it looked like, and I was like, actually, you know what? Vinales had that. He passed him. He got in front of him. So at that point, I think it was up to Bagnaia to pull out and let Vinales have it. But then they just bumped into each other. Oh
And then
man,
Vinales walked over to
punched
Bagnaia
him,
and started fucking slapping him in the head.
gave him one of them little cheeky slaps in the face, and Bagnaia was straight
And
up
he
to
was
him.
probably going, hey,
You talk to your mama like that?
just start hitting each other. And they're wearing helmets with Kevlar gloves and full levers. It's like, you're not going to hurt him, mate.
Oh yeah.
Just funny to see.
But I think that just
obviously not the crash.
I think that just shows you the amount of adrenaline that was in that race. They were just all over the place. And then about a lap after that, Marini and Alex Marquez.
Yeah.
Again, it looked to me like from like you seen that from a different point of view. You seem to think it looked like Marini ran into Marquez. Whereas whenever I seen it, I was like, Marquez has just went up and ran into Marini, but
again,
obviously,
it was one of them where it was just like, what the fucking hell is happening?
Obviously, Marini, I can't mind if it was the back end or the front end, but he just seemed to lose it a little bit, and just where he lost it was right on the racing. What could he do? He lost it, and Marquez just came riding into him. Oh, it was just one thing after the other.
And then Zeki, he did a Valentino Rossi, didn't he? On Marquez.
Yeah.
And he got deducted a place.
Was that whenever he went into the corner and just didn't take the corner at all? Missed it completely.
he just bumped straight into him.
Yeah. Obviously,
and you put in the chat. Oh, look what he just learnt off Valentino Rossi.
Yeah.
But he obviously got deducted a place, but he soon made that back up. I think he made it back up literally within a lap.
Yeah, I think it's
because there was a possible long lap penalty. They were talking about that, and then obviously he just had to drop a place. But even if he'd had the long lap penalty, he still would have won.
Yeah, I think he would have.
I think. Bloody a bit further on into the race, bloody Rins crashed out, and I was so gutted to see because I really like Rins.
Guess who else crashed?
Jack Miller?
Joan Mir.
Yeah, Joe. Really?
He's having an awful season.
Oh God, he is.
Because
but
he genuinely, and it's not true because he's the world champion. You have to remember. Joan Mir is the world champion. Now I know some people can be cynical and say it was a COVID year. They only did a few rounds. He was lucky. He probably was lucky, but at the end of the day, he only beat the people that was there to beat. You're nodding in agreement, but you can only beat the people that's in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because ultimately, if Marquez hadn't been injured, he would have destroyed everybody that year.
Well, yeah.
But he was injured, so like I say, I come back to you can only beat who's in front of you. So he is a world champion. You have to give him his dues. But he is looking very mediocre this year. You can say the bike's this and the bike's that, but the bike's good enough to get you round.
Yeah, it's at least good enough to get you around the track, absolutely.
It's not the bike throwing him off. Because you see Marquez is up the front. Yes, Marquez crashed. And I know I put my little dig in about Marquez and no, he shouldn't be crashing, but Marquez is up there, and if he wasn't pushing as hard, he'd maybe be finishing 4th or 5th. But he'd still be finishing the race and 4th or 5th. Johan Mir's he's down at the back, and he still crashes. And it's like, why?
Yeah, he's
he looks very mediocre.
I think he's going to struggle to. I think he needs to stay at Honda though, because he'll struggle to find another ride.
I don't think Honda will want him. If I was Honda right now, I'd be thinking, out of my options, like if nobody else is going to come up and want to ride the Honda, I'd be thinking, we'll swap you with Alex Rins.
Yeah, that definitely. I think that's well.
But then, obviously,
I think we should have gone with Alex Rins.
Lucio
anyway,
Cecchinello might be like, no.
What else happened? Binder got a long lap penalty, but he was just pushing really, really hard to try and catch up because at the very start, for some reason, he went wide. Very, very early on, which was a real shame to see because he dropped back loads of places, and I would have definitely had him up there as a contender for the podium.
Oh, he still managed to bring it back in sixth.
Yeah, he still did. But
then again, obviously, we come back to the fact that a lot of big riders come off. Marquez, Miller.
Jack Miller.
Like,
yeah.
I'm going to name the people who you don't expect to come off. Right. I know Marquez has had a few rough seasons, but we did say earlier. Marquez come off. You don't normally expect him to come off.
No.
Alex Rins come off. Don't normally expect him to come off.
He's very consistent.
Miller and Mir come off. That doesn't surprise me. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't surprise me. Marini come off. Alex Marquez, that doesn't really surprise me either. Marini come off. Bagnaia come off, and Vinales come off. That's a lot of big riders, so...
Yeah. It was
hardly
carnage. It really was carnage this weekend. But that race was just like, it was so exciting. It was probably one of the best races so far.
And that's without any of the crashing as well. It was just
exactly. If there was no crashing, it would still be great.
It was like a sprint race. It was like at one stage, I can remember messaging you going, "There's still 17 laps left."
Yeah, this all happened really early on, didn't it?
What the fuck was going on?
But it finished with Bezz in first,
Marco.
second.
See, I thought the other day I was trying to think, what could you say? And I was thinking, Marco, simply the Bezz. That was my
I quite like that.
That was my last one.
I prefer. You can't have chippies.
Yeah.
What was it? Marquez has a hard on. It is funny. It is funny, and I do get it because he had a hard tire on. But no, I do like the Marco, simply the Bezz.
Yeah.
But what I really did like about at the end of the race, obviously Bezz was given a 1,000th GP flag to go around with as the winner, and he went and gave that to Zarco, who came third. So he got to go around his home track with a victory flag. It was really, really cool.
I never seen that bit, but I heard about it because by that stage I was like trying to entertain my kids because they've been ignoring them all.
He literally pulled over to him and he gave him the flag and he sort of said, off you go, mate. And
you have it. It's your home GP. You enjoy it.
It's your home GP and you've got on a podium. Go enjoy yourself. I thought that was really nice of Bezz to do that.
This is my flag. Get your own.
I like Bezz. I think
this is my GP. You want
just
to
like MotoGP.
So, who would you rather win the championship, Bagnaia or Bezz?
Bezz.
Yeah. Why? Because he's on a VR46.
Yeah. Sorry, but I just think he's a great rider and what he's doing is brilliant. And the fact that he's been trained by Rossi and here's
another one for you. Who would you rather win the championship, Bezz or Binder? Because Binder's not that far away. He's only.
Do you know
12
what?
points.
That's a tough one because
KTM.
Because it's KTM, and I'm really liking the KTMs at the moment. But I'd still have to say Bezz. I think he's a really cool rider.
Have you got the championship standings up?
I do not.
Right, I've got a question for you. It's just a little quiz.
Okay.
Right. Who's higher in the championship? Maverick Vinales or Alex Rins?
I'm going to say Alex Rins.
Oh, it's Maverick Vinales with 2 points. He's got 49 points.
Really?
Yeah, and Alex Rins is 47.
I was just thinking because obviously Alex Rins has had a win.
Yeah, I genuinely said Alex Rins as well because he's had a win. Do I do another one?
Yeah, go on. Are these all literally like 2 or 3 points?
Yeah, I'll do a good one. Right, who's higher? This was cheeky. Who's higher in the championship? Jack Miller or Fabio Quartararo?
Oh, God. I'm trying to think of how many times Jack's crashed.
Every time. 60% of the time or worse every time.
It's got to be Fabio. Fabio's got to be higher.
Well, it says here Jack Miller's higher, but they're both on the same points. But for some reason, Jack Miller's in 8th and Fabio's in 9th.
It'll be because of their last names.
Oh, just because he's not
Because
to do
Miller
with...
is an M and
Oh,
Quartararo is a Q. I'm assuming. If
right
they're on the
here.
same points,
We'll do one more.
We'll go alphabetical order.
That's the last one. Who's higher in the championship? Augusto Fernandez or Miguel Oliveira?
Fernandez.
Yeah, it's quite easy, that one.
Yeah, because Oliveira had a massive off, didn't he?
Danny Pedrosa's higher in the championship than Mark Marquez. I find that funny.
With one race, and he was a wild card.
And even more shocking, he's 8 points. Danny Pedrosa is 8 points ahead of Johan Mir. Like, I know we laugh at Marquez, but Marquez has been at 2 races out of the 5, right?
Yeah.
He's finished 2 sprint races. He's crashed out of the 2 races he's raced. So you can give him a bye ball and say that he injured himself. Right, fair enough. Johan Mir's been at every race. He's got 5 points. He's been at every race. Well, maybe bar one. I think maybe he was injured in one. But he's pretty much been at every race. He's got 5. Danilo Petrucci has the same amount of points as Johan Mir. And he's a world superbike rider. He's having an awful season.
Oh dear.
And we're really sorry for slagging off
we
Johan
are
Mir.
sorry.
He was a really good rider, world champion. Ex-world champion.
Okay.
It's looking so tight at the top, though. Francesco Bagnaia is only 1 point ahead of simply the Bezz.
I don't want Bagnaia to win. I've got nothing against him, but I don't want him to win.
Is it because he's on a red Ducati?
No, because Bezzecchi's on a Ducati.
No, but I said red Ducati. You just see a boring looking Ducati.
No, it's not that. I don't know.
You just don't like Bagnaia.
No, I don't dislike him. That's the thing. I don't dislike him. I think it'd be cool to just have somebody else win this year.
But you didn't say. You literally just said you don't want Bagnaia to win. It's not like you said, I want Bezzecchi to win or Brad. You just said, I don't want Bagnaia to win. That sounds like you don't like Bagnaia.
No, I do. I don't dislike Bagnaia. I'd like somebody else to win.
It's not like he's won loads. He's only won one championship.
I know, but I just want somebody else to win. It's fresh and more exciting.
Who do you want to win?
Who do I want to win?
All right, let's say take away what we know. Start of the season, starting afresh. Who would you like to win? Who would you like to see lift the championship?
Alex Rins.
I knew you would say that, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to say Alex Rins. It'd be between him and Jack Miller, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I'd have to say Alex Rins. I think he's class. And I just so wish he was still on a Suzuki.
Yeah, Alex Rins.
Yeah.
I bet Johan Mir wishes he was still in the Suzuki.
He does. What a mare he's having.
What a terrible season.
Oh, God.
They just can't seem to finish a race. Like 5 points out of 10 races. That's
We're sorry, Johan Mir.
That's a possible 125. And how many did you get for the sprint race? 12.
I think it's half, isn't it? It's roughly around
12,
half
which
what
is
you would
60
get in the
points.
normal race.
So 125 plus 60. This is where my math comes in, listeners. My math's not great. So 108. There's been a possible 185 points up for grab, and Johan Mir's got 5 of them. Anyway, we're sorry.
Yeah, we are sorry. You're all phenomenal at what you do, and if you didn't do it, we'd be bored as we'd be bored shitless.
Oh, absolutely phenomenal. Right.
So yeah,
have we got much else to talk about?
Really, about the MotoGP. I haven't really got much more to say about it.
I don't really have much more to say about it.
But it was very, very good, and I really, really enjoyed watching it.
When is the next MotoGP? Because I don't think it's going to be for a while.
I can tell you, the next MotoGP is going to be
the 11th of June.
The 11th of June, it is.
Gran
Which is...
Premio d'Italia Oakley.
It's the Grand what?
Gran Premio d'Italia Oakley.
Oh, so, yeah. Italia. Italian GP. So, I'm going to go straight out there and say that Bagnaia is going to win that.
Why?
Because he just will.
Don't know about that.
Him or Bezzecchi.
Yeah, the Italian.
Yeah, it's got to be an Italian on a Ducati.
Won't be the sprint race.
Sprint race, Brad Binder. He is the sprint master, I'm afraid. He's that guy. So what should we get on to next?
I think we probably should, very quickly. I'm not going to go into it because I don't know much about it. But we probably should just very quickly mention that this was the first race that the Moto E turned up at. I think this was the first one.
I didn't actually watch it. I should. I know I should start watching it, but I don't know why I've got this sort of barrier up against watching it.
I'll be honest, it's not great, is it?
It's because I like to hear the bikes, and they don't really make much sound.
But they only go round, they only do like 8 laps.
Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously I know why they're doing it. They're doing it to obviously look as though they're
not just to look that way, but it will eventually be the future. So they've got to get to it. Apparently, this is the first year that it's not been a World Cup. Up until now, it's been a World Cup, but this is the first year it's a World Championship. Because it's got to do certain stipulations to be a World Championship. But up until this point, it's been a World Cup.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Right. And was it good?
It was all right.
Fair enough. That's our overview of Moto E.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to mention it. I think it was Jordi Torres. Yeah, Jordi Torres. I think it's Jordi Torres who.
Did they win?
Yeah, he won. Yeah, not they. He.
Oh, right.
He's a name that a lot of people recognise.
Oh, what I was going to ask you actually before we finish off. Me and Chippy were obviously talking about the World Superbikes having a Superbikes for women.
Yeah.
We had a little discussion. You probably heard it, and we think that Anna Carrasco should go and do that rather than be in Moto3. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think she probably should. But
I reckon she'd probably have a good chance of.
I reckon she should probably do that, but I think she'll go there and win it, and then what does she do?
Yeah, and then back to Moto3.
Yeah.
Because that's the only one up from it, isn't it? She's not going to get a Moto2 ride. Is there any reason why she couldn't be in the Super Sport?
What Super Sport?
Who knows?
World Super
World
Sport?
Superbikes. Yeah.
No reason. I suppose she just wants to be in the MotoGP paddock.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think she should go to it. I think as soon as they have a women's World Superbike Championship and they're all women, I'm like, yeah, she should go. She should go. She should win it. Stamp her authority as the best female racer in the world, and then go back to Moto3.
Yeah. And back to Moto3.
Is there any racing on next week? Because we said there wasn't, but
there isn't any. Well, no track racing anyway. As in, there's no BSB World Supers or MotoGP.
What weekend is it? The 21st.
It is the 26th. We've got BSB at Donington Park this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend coming.
Yeah, this weekend coming BSB. Next weekend.
Yeah, that's what I mean, this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. That's what we've got to look forward to. We've got the British Superbikes at Donington Park to look up to.
See,
Chippy
I've
predicts.
still not properly watched BSP yet.
Not watched any of it.
I've watched a bit of the last one. I need to really sit down and get into it.
Well, why don't you just sit down and binge it? It's only been 2 rounds.
I know. I watched a bit of the last one because they had a punch up on the track.
All I do is watch motorbikes. My wife, her head is turned. She hates it. All I do is watch motorbikes. If I'm not watching British Superbikes, I'm watching World Superbikes. If I'm not watching that, it's MotoGP. If I'm not doing that, I've got the Moto America on, and then she comes in this week, and I'm watching Northwest. She's just like, do you ever watch anything else other than motorbike? I'm like, fuck off, I love motorbike. She's from a cricket family though, and I'm like, you watch a game that can literally last for 5 days and end the draw, so fuck off. Right.
Have you thought any more about getting your test passed yet?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've thought about when I'm going to get the chance to do it. It's probably going to look the summertime before I've got the opportunity to do it.
And you showed me, because I didn't even know one had come out yet, but I didn't know about it, and you said, oh yeah, I'm looking at the Triumph, was it Triumph Tiger 600?
660, I think it is.
660, yeah, and I thought, I don't think I've seen one of them, so obviously I googled
it. 2020 or something that came out.
2022, they only came out last year.
Yeah, doesn't it?
It's a nice looking bike, to be fair.
It's a very compact little sport bike, but it's not really my cup. Not really what I want. I was looking at Triumph.
For the 900.
Yeah, I was looking at Triumph Tigers because I saw one. I was in a service station in France and I saw one, and I was like, I think it was a 1200, and I was just like, God, I want a Triumph Tiger so bad. Like obviously, there's other ones.
Yeah,
they are
really nice looking bikes, and they're so capable.
I saw a 1200 KTM, and I thought, that's nice as well. That's nice, that bike.
Right. One thing I will say to you is, try and steer away from KTM.
Why? You love KTM?
Because I do love KTMs, but they aren't very reliable.
Oh, right.
Not compared to other brands. They're kind of like the Ferrari of the bike world at the moment.
Right.
They are great bikes. Don't get me wrong. I do love them. Work. I like them a lot. But when they work, yeah, I would definitely say if you're going to go for a bike like a Triumph Tiger, you want to be going for one of them 3 that I spoke about in the review.
Yeah. Well, I do want
Triumph
a Tiger, but it's just as to what one
Tiger, GS, or an Africa Twin.
Is that the BMW GS?
The BMW GS 1200 is an amazing bike, and I mean an amazing bike. And I know you keep saying I don't really want to get a lower CC bike because then you're going to get a bit bored of it and get something bigger. And I understand that. Maybe you should go for like a Tiger 900.
Yeah.
And then if you do feel as though you want that extra power, then you could get a 1200 later on, I suppose.
Yeah, because I saw that Triumph 660, that Tiger. I don't even know if it has a Triumph Tiger 660, but I was looking for Triumph Tigers and that came up, so I think it's kind of in that sort of genre. And I was looking at it and I thought, it's just a bit... I know it's bigger than anything I've read, but compared to its sister bikes, like the 900 and the 1200, it just looks a bit lagging, you know what I mean? So,
but you can pick up a 1200 for really good prices at the moment. There's actually one near me for sale, which has only got 10,000 miles on it, and they're asking $5,000 for it with full luggage.
Yeah,
it's cheap.
I've got to get the test pass first and then see where I'm at.
You do, yeah. You need to get your test pass.
But it's just trying to find a week where I can... Because up until this point in my life, it's usually just been finances as like kind of really justify spending that money on a test and then on a bike and then insurance. And then it's not the cheapest hobby in the world. But I'm at a point now in my life where I can afford it. Now it's just finding the bloody time, because it's like I take a week off work. It's like, oh, you just take a week off work and just go ride a bike and forget about us. That's what my wife's like. Y'all got a family.
Yeah. But once you've got your test passed and once you've got a bike and you've got all the gear and everything, and you're happy days. You could do with a garage though.
No, but they just cost too much money. So,
Or at least a shed. Get a big shed. You can get these big metal sheds now for like £300.
I've got a shed at the minute. It's got no big side door on it, and it's got this little
That's
door.
what I mean. You can buy one of these bloody metal sheds. They're about £300 or so.
Well, to be honest, if I owned this house, I don't own this house, I'm renting this house, but if I owned this house, I'd fucking knock the wall in and make it, because I'd knock the back wall in the shed and make it into the garage, because I could knock that in, put a rolling door in it, and make it from the bike. But there you go. That's just where we're at. Anyway, we're just rattling on. We've been going for how long?
Oh, don't even know.
We've been going for 2 hours, 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And we've probably got about 10, 15 minutes to edit out of this, so it's going to be a fairly long show considering it's just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
But we'll finish up with the socials. Do you want to run through the socials, or do you want me to do it?
No, you haven't done it in that long. Come on, you need the practice.
Well, I think you enjoy doing it.
No, I usually say the wrong thing.
Right. So, if you would like to get in contact with us, as I mentioned earlier, you can email us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. It can be about anything. It can be about bikes. It can be about any mistakes we've made today or anything you want to correct us on, or you can just ask us a nice, simple question. Anything at all. Just leave your name and we'll read it out in the show. You can listen to us on YouTube. It's the Big Bad Bike Show. You can follow us on Twitter. It's @TheBigBadBS. We're on Instagram at the Big Bad Bike Show. It's hyphenated. We think that's going to change because we're going to sort our Instagram out a little bit better. And we're on Facebook. We've got 2 Facebooks. We've got the Big Bad Bike Show, an official page, and then we've got a group, which is the Big Bad BS. To be honest, there's more traction on the group. So
there is, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to join the Big Bad BS Facebook page, you can do that. You can follow myself on Twitter. It's @SuperGasano. You can follow Ash on Instagram, the Up North Biker. And Chippy is on Twitter @C_Ballard90. That's a mouthful. And that's pretty much it. Nothing else to say, but cheers for tuning in, and it's a goodbye from us. So goodbye.
See you later.